Hey there, storytellers, welcome back to my channel and welcome to day 19 of Bookmas. We are nearing the end here, folks. Today's video is going to be one of my 5x5 reviews. So for those of you unfamiliar with my 5x5s, I'm going to share with you 5 things I liked about a book and 5 things I didn't. And today's book is going to be Christmas Shopaholic by Sophie Kinsella. This picks up, I believe it's the most recent installment in the Shopaholic series. It follows our main character, Rebecca Becky Bloomwood, and at this point she's had a few different major life moments go on, so I definitely missed a lot of stuff because there's literally a whole series in between Confessions of a Shopaholic and Christmas Shopaholic, but I didn't care. I figured, you know what, it's still gonna be Becky Bloomwood being Becky Bloomwood, and I was right. So basically, she shops too much, she gets into shenanigans, and she's well-meaning. I am not going to go into too much plot detail because I don't want to spoil it for anyone who does read the series regularly and maybe hasn't gotten to it yet. Or if you don't read the series, but you were picking it up for the same reason I did because you liked the first book and you kind of wanted to see that character tackle Christmas, then don't worry. I will not get too spoilery on you, but without any further ado, let's get into my dislikes. Dislike number 1, right off the bat, they mention Becky runs into an ex-boyfriend on the plot synopsis, and I didn't care for the ex-boyfriend subplot. It ended up being connected to a bigger thing that happens, but I feel like we probably could have achieved that bigger thing without connecting the old boyfriend, but it did add some drama. I just didn't like him. I didn't want to put up with him long enough for it to even pay off, basically. So I just, the ex-boyfriend subplot was kind of needless for me, personally. Mostly because he's kind of pretentious, and like he knows he's pretentious, but he doesn't care. Just like number 2, at the beginning of the book, Becky's half-sister, sister Jess, is kind of unbearable. She just doesn't exude any kind of positivity, and there's a reason she's so secretive in this novel, but she was just so negative sometimes that like it was like, why? You're going an extra mile, it feels like, to be negative rather than recognizing that someone is trying to do something nice. Like she says, for example, let me just backtrack and explain a little. Jess is very eco-conscious and vegan, and Becky is not, but she does her best to be courteous of that for Jess and to get Jess things that, you know, shows that Rebecca cares about her and her passions and her things that are important to her. She tries to get her eco-conscious gifts and things that, you know, Jess will still be able to enjoy, and just is like, this is okay, thank you, I appreciated the intent, but it could be better. And she says it in like that kind of tone, like, it could be better, but thank you, I appreciate your intent. And it just, it rubbed me the wrong way, and I felt bad that Rebecca wanted so much to have like Jess's approval when I don't think Jess disapproves of Rebecca. I think Rebecca just wants to connect with her, and I just felt so bad that Jess seemed to be doing everything to try not to connect. Just like number 3, ironically, the Christmas part of Christmas Shopaholic was kind of a subplot sometimes, and that kind of bothered me. But on the other hand, it's sort of appropriate for Rebecca Bloomwood, who kind of gets distracted from the big goal in terms of chasing smaller ones. She's very single-minded, and she kind of has to hit all of them rather than just focusing on the one thing. So on the one hand, true to character, I suppose, but it almost took away from it at some points. Like, there was so much building to the ending that there wasn't a lot of Christmassy Christmas stuff going on, and I had kind of hoped for more of it, so like minorly disappointed. Just like number 4, we have the classic almost willful miscommunication between characters going on, and of course it's happening at the holiday season, which makes it more stressful, and it doesn't matter because I hate this trope. It bothers me every single time. I don't like it. Just like number 5, speaking of miscommunications and the big ending, there's like something that happens that causes like a huge miscommunication between Becky and her family and friends, and nobody really tries that hard to settle it until it gets to Becky, and she's distraught, and she's like, I don't know what's going on. And then finally her husband Luke is like, well, we're gonna go sort this out. But like, nobody tried that hard. They were like, yeah, we called you, but you didn't answer. That was it. You called once, he didn't answer, and you gave up. Again, it's like the combination of like, it's a combination, this moment is a combination of many of my dislikes in the story, and I can't explain it to you without spoiling it, but just know it irked me. Okay, moving on to the positive side, the likes. Like number 1, I listened to the audiobook for this one, despite the fact that I own the book, which is a very Rebecca Bloomwood thing to do, having 2 copies. But I actually really appreciated having a British narrator, because it's easy to forget, having seen the film and only reading the other book in my head, that Rebecca is a British character. So it was kind of great to actually be reminded of that. It was a little bit weird at first. I kind of, like I said, forgot. And then I was like, oh right, she is. And it was great, actually. It ended up being really enjoyable. And it was a great narrator. I don't know the narrator's name, but like number 1, the narrator was great. Like number 2, I enjoyed seeing Rebecca Bloomwood as a mother. She is by no means perfect, but I do appreciate how hard she tries and how much she strives to be a good mother. I think she puts a lot of pressure on herself, the way many moms do, and I think it was great to see that realistically portrayed, as she's someone who's trying, but like, the other aspects of motherhood besides actually raising and caring for her child maybe are lost on her. She's not the craftiest mom. She's not the baker mom. She's not the sporty mom, you know? She's someone who doesn't have that distinctive identity in the mom world, so she kind of feels like she's floundering, but I liked that because it was very realistic. Like number 3, I really appreciate Becky as a person. She might get into so many antics, and sure, she might shop a little too much, but she's a really well-meaning character. There's a lot of stuff she does that, you know, she does without thinking, that you think that's insane, but it's just coming from such a good place. Like, she does something for a person she's only kind of just become friends with at the start of this novel, and you'd think I would never, but she doesn't even really hesitate. I mean, she kind of thinks about it, but in terms of actually doing something kind for this other person, she doesn't hesitate, and I really like that about her as a character. It makes her really enjoyable to read, and you can forgive a lot of the antics she gets up to because you know she's such a kind-hearted person, and I think that's why I was drawn to coming back to the series. Like number 4, we did end on a proper Christmas note, and it was really nice. It had all the warm and fuzzies, all the sort of proper, what you'd expect in like the traditional holiday message, good cheer kind of vibes, and that's what I was looking for. So I can't say I'm mad about the ending by any means, despite any little negative nitpicks I had. I absolutely felt like it delivered on the proper Christmas at the end of the novel. So it gives you the vibes at the end. And like number 5, it's a little bit of a weird one, I guess, as a reader to say that I like, that I don't feel like I have to read the rest of the series. You know, I got enough backstory and introduction. I mean, I was maybe missing a couple plot references that they allude to as characters, but otherwise I didn't feel like I was missing things by not having read the other novels, and I like that. I think that makes you a strong writer if you can sort of pick up a book in a series, especially a contemporary one, and not feel like you've missed too much. So I've only read the first book and then this most recent installment, and I don't feel like I've missed a ton of what goes on with the characters. I'm sure I did, but it didn't dampen my enjoyment of the overall stories, which is great. It's hard to do, and I think that shows some real skill level, and I think it's great that, you know, you can pick up the first book and get familiar with the characters, and if you just want to see her at Christmas, you can pick up Christmas Shopaholic, and you're not really missing much in terms of being able to follow the story. Like I said, they allude to some plot stuff, but in terms of this story itself, it's pretty contained and you don't necessarily have to read the other ones, and I really enjoyed that. But that is it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, let me know by leaving a like down below. Did you read Christmas Shopaholic or any of the Shopaholic series? If you did, let me know your thoughts on this book or the other books. I would be curious to know if it's worth my time to pick them up, or if I should just kind of keep picking them up in the installments that interest me. But for now, I'm going to get going. If you want to keep up with me and all of my bookish adventures, you can go ahead and click the subscribe button. And of course, I absolutely highly recommend that you ring the little bell so that you don't miss a beat, because it will notify you every time I post a new video, which in the month of December, for about 5 more days left of the 25 whole days, will be for every single day. So I'll see you guys tomorrow with a new one. Bye!